Your homepage is your first impression. Let's make it unforgettable. Hey guys, Krista here from Davey and Krista. Whether you're a designer, a content creator, or a small business owner, the key to standing out online and getting visitors to take the intended action of your website is to have a homepage that stands out. It's your Anthropologie storefront window, your book cover, your little teal box with a white ribbon. But so many businesses fail to capture the hearts and thus the attention spans of their visitors. After countless website reviews, we've noticed 9 mistakes that businesses frequently make on their website. So today we're going to dive into those mistakes and what people commonly do and what you should do instead. You're going to want to stick around for number 9 because it's a major conversion killer. The first mistake that I see many businesses make is they don't make it clear exactly what they do and who they do it for as soon as somebody comes on the website. This is called your value proposition. So if you want to turn visitors into customers, what you want to do as soon as somebody comes on the website is make it clear what you offer. This is your product or your service. You also want to make it clear who you offer that for. So if you serve a specific location, that location should be listed right there. And if you have some unique aspect of your business, clearly and concisely state it in this spot. You want to make it clear that you understand their problem, that this is how you can resolve their problem, and that they can trust you. So for example, if you're a wedding photographer serving the St. Louis area, you want to say that at the top of your website. Not only does it tell prospective clients what you do, it also tells search engines what you do and where you do it. And that is one of the secrets to being found online in Google searches. Many website homepages are beautifully designed, but they fail to convert clients because the copy is disorganized. My second tip is to keep your content clear, concise, and organized. Organization is key here. If you have long paragraphs of text, break them up into several smaller bite-sized paragraphs. Don't be afraid to bold key elements of that text and make sure that your headlines are short, clear, and concise. Text is generally easiest to read when it's set to the left and set in regular sentence case. So unless it's a short headline, skip the all caps. Center text is also really challenging to read unless it's just a short headline or 1 or 2 lines of text. Body copy or longer blocks of text are really hard to read when it's centered because the eye can't skim when it doesn't always start in the same place. It's much easier if it's like a book and it starts on the same side every single time. Make sure that you're choosing fonts that are easy for people to sweep their eye across, especially if it's in the body copy. Size, spacing, color choice, line height, all make a difference in how easy it is for your text to read. I think that you can be a little more creative in headlines and in shorter bits of copy and on accent text, but when it comes to the body copy and longer paragraphs of text, you want to make sure it's really easy for them to skim and read quickly. Script fonts, so ones that look like cursive, are notoriously challenging to read. So if you're going to use one of those on your website, make sure it's in text that is more of an accent or just 1 or 2 words and that isn't crucial for your messaging. My third mistake that I often see sites make is trying to get too creative or clever with the navigation. The navigation is one of the secret elements on your site that helps guide people through the site and gets them to take action. And if your navigation is hidden, especially if it's lower on the page, or if you're too witty in those naming of the pages and the links, you're probably going to confuse clients and maybe not get them to the places that you ultimately want them to get. So making a sale, purchasing, inquiring. Ideally, your navigation should be visible as soon as someone comes on the site, so right at the top of the page in what we call above the fold. So if you go back into the newspaper days when somebody delivered a paper, it was often folded and the most important headline, the name of the newspaper, they were all on the top. So somebody saw it in the newsstand or right when it was on their porch. They didn't have to open it up. And that's because that was the key thing that they wanted them to see. And so in design, especially in web design, we apply that same principle. We want headlines and navigation and your company logo to all be at the top because that's where you're going to attract the most attention. And if you can't attract someone's attention there, you're going to stand little chance of getting them to scroll. Making sure that those navigation links are clearly labeled and easy to understand also helps search engines understand what kinds of content is on your site, and it can help them understand the products and services that you offer. So for example, a pet peeve of mine is when someone names their services page services. There are a million different service providers out there, and Google doesn't know what your service is from another service providers. So if you're a photographer, say weddings or say portraits, ideally you'd have a page for each one of those things. If you're an attorney, make sure that you're saying legal services or bookkeeping services, whatever service it is you provide, that's what you want to be in the navigation, because that helps your visitors and search engines understand what your content is about. Fourth mistake I see businesses make is having a website that loads too slowly. If your site takes more than a few seconds to load, it's pretty likely that someone is going to open up another browser on their tab or pull up their phone and look at social media, and they may never make it back to your website. And so you could be losing out on potential customers just because your website took so long to load that they got distracted, maybe by something else or maybe by a competitor. When websites also take so long to load, people might question whether it even works okay or whether you're still in business. To solve this issue, make sure that you're using a quality website template and a quality host. Cheaper website hosts, the ones that are like $3, $4 a month, or that put you on a server that is shared with a lot of other websites out there, are probably going to be slower to load. And if one of those sites has an issue, it could cause issues on your site with load time. My recommendation is always to go with a quality host. If you're using Showit as your website host, they are top notch, and they've put a lot of time and effort into making sure that their websites load quickly on all devices. We actually offer done for you Showit website templates that actually take care of all of the issues that I'm talking about today, so you don't have to worry about them. And we have a special Showit code that will save you a bit on your first year, and we'll link it down below. If you're going to use a more traditional website like WordPress, make sure that you add something like WP Rocket. It's a caching plugin that helps your pages load more quickly. There's a little bit of setup involved. We actually have a tutorial that I'll link to as well, and Davey walks you through the settings that you need to check on that to make sure that your website is loading quickly on all devices. But I'm going to add that if you don't have a great website host, you can do all the optimization tricks in the book, and your website's still probably going to load slowly. So make sure that you're investing in quality website hosting. Mistake 5 is not having a visual representation of your work on your website. So I see a lot of websites that are really text heavy or that have really small images of their work, but your images help people connect the words that are on your page with what you do. So if your images aren't there and they can't really get a great idea of what you offer and why you're good at what you do, they might be clicking away without ever inquiring or making that sale. Ideally, as somebody scrolls through your website, you're going to be mixing up photos and text to keep things engaging and help the eye float through the page. This is also a great way to incorporate small video clips to break up sections of text or testimonials and keep someone interested as they're scrolling. I'm going to put a few examples down below. The sixth mistake I see people make is not having an authentic, genuine voice on their page. A lot of businesses err on the side of professional, which is great for some kinds of businesses. But I think that for the most of us, we forget that people who are visiting our site want to connect with people. And so while I don't think the homepage is a spot where you want to share your deepest, darkest secrets, I'd actually probably argue that you don't want to do that anywhere on your site, I do think it's a great way to include notes that help build genuine connection. And so that could often come through in copy as well as on the imagery that you're sharing. So if you're a small business owner, make sure that you're including a photo of yourself or your team, if your team is small enough, on the homepage, and make sure that you're looking right at the camera and that people can see your eyes, because those eyes help build trust. The more closely that you work with clients, so this is especially true if you provide a service instead of just an online shop, the more important it's going to be that people can picture an actual person that they're working with. If you're in a location, it can also be a good idea to include photos of that actual location so people can visualize what it looks like if they go there, or maybe they're thinking of their town and what the shop looks like in the downtown. So the more of that you could include, the more real you're going to be seen, and the more they're going to be able to feel like they know, like, and trust you, and thus make a purchase from you. Mistake number 7 is not including any social proof. People want to know that you're good at what they do, but they also want to know that you can get results for someone like them. And the way that you show them that you can get results is through social proof, including things like testimonials throughout the homepage and throughout all of the pages of your website in general. If you have photos that go with those testimonials, those are always great because it helps someone imagine that this real person says this thing about you. And include names or at least initials. If you've worked with any major brands or you're trusted by any specific partners, this is also a great place to include those logos. Personally, I like to make those black and white and a little bit on the smaller side so that they don't overwhelm everything else that you offer. But people, especially if they're brands that they know and recognize, those help build trust and credibility. So this is one of the reasons why it's important to do your own PR and submit your work or get published or build connections with peers or other vendors. Reviews are so key to the purchasing process that I think that people, if they don't see any reviews, they kind of wonder if you're a legitimate business. I think that we've all gotten used to scrolling down on Amazon to look at what people are saying about a product before we buy. And so if somebody's doing that for like a $10 pack of paper towels, how much more are they doing that for a business service that costs thousands of dollars? Mistake number 8 is to not think about mobile. These days, I would say that 60+% of traffic is probably visiting your site from their phone. So if your website doesn't look good on mobile, if it's not easy to navigate, if things are all over the place visually, or it loads really slow, you're probably missing out on sales. One of the things I love about website editors like Showit is that you can actually design desktop and mobile simultaneously. So when you're in the Showit editor, you see your desktop and you also see the mobile version of Showit. And so it's really easy to figure out which elements are going to look one way on desktop and then rearrange them or make them bigger or smaller. That keeps it easy for people to quickly scroll through on mobile and get the content that they need to get. If you notice certain elements don't work on mobile that did work on desktop, and they're not key to your messaging, I would just go ahead and hide those. I've noticed that sometimes videos don't play, like especially if it's a background video, don't play on mobile devices. And so you might think about replacing those with a video on mobile. Or sometimes tables or charts are easy to see on a desktop, but they don't scale well on mobile. If they're not crucial and you can't figure out another way to rearrange them, I would just hide them. Last mistake that I see so many businesses make is not having a great way to collect leads. So what I'm talking about here is building your mailing list, because unlike something like social media where algorithms are always changing and you can't control your reach, those email addresses and the mailing list system that they're in, you own those email addresses. You're probably going to get a certain number of opens and a certain number of purchases. The best way to build your mailing list is to give them something free, like a mini course or some sort of PDF guide of special content that they can't get anywhere else in exchange for that email address. If you have a sign up on your website that says something like join my list, it's probably going to see really low conversions. And that's because at this day and age, not many people want to get more emails in their inbox. I know I don't. It's like a daily challenge to eliminate the email from my inbox. So you have to give them an incentive in order to get them to put their email address in and get on your list. And I can't think of many businesses that wouldn't benefit from building their email list and having those contacts to continually reach out to and remind of your services and your offering and help them and show off your expertise. This is a great way to drive new traffic to any content that you share on your blog or on social media, and let them know that it exists and that they should head there. If lead magnets are new to you, I actually have a tutorial that teaches you exactly how to make a guide using something like Canva and to deliver it via Flowdesk or ConvertKit. So I'll link that below. They say first impressions are everything, and in the case of your homepage, I would say that is totally true. A well-resonated homepage is going to make you stand out from the competition, connect with your ideal client, and increase your conversions. And if you avoid these 9 mistakes, you'll be well on your way to an unforgettable hello. If you like this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. Let me know that this kind of content is something that you want us to keep producing, and make sure that you leave a comment below if you have any questions that I can help answer. If you want to jumpstart on a homepage that contains all of the good practices that I talked about today, make sure you head to our template shop, because we sell done-for-you website templates that take the guesswork out of homepages. So for now, that's it. Thanks for joining me, guys.